Welcome to the Conscious Business Talks this Thursday, just before Easter, and a big long weekend right here. So I am so happy and so glad we get to share Easter together. Well, okay, pre-Easter together, or Spring Equinox. I really am not fussy. It's spring. Spring is in the air. It's a time of celebration and change, and I kind of think it's super cool. So to honor that, I'm like, okay, so get this. I had a talk with Vicky on, I think it was Monday, and we were both wearing blue, and she really liked the color of my blue. So to honor Vicky, I put my blue on, and to celebrate the spring, I put a little bit of bling on. Can you see all that? Okay, so there's my silliness in that. But I am so happy you're here, and I just wanted to welcome you to yet another episode of our show. And today, it's kind of funny. Okay, not funny, haha, but just kind of funny. I woke up yesterday not feeling the greatest, right? And I don't get sick. I don't get ill. If I start, feeling like my throat isn't doing well, or I'm feeling a bit sniffy, then or snuffly, then I know that I have not taken care of myself very well. I most likely have been missing out on sleep. I'm keeping late nights. I'm getting up early, and I'm working straight through, not thinking very much about nutrition and just getting myself fueled up properly, right? And this is in spite of knowing better, right? So when I know the danger signs, I know that when I'm feeling a certain way, I need to take a look at how I'm allocating my time, how I'm spending my time and energy. So let me just take a look to see. Hey, check it out. I am so happy. There's MJ, there's Robin, there is Larissa, and I know Vicky's going to be here because I'm wearing her blue. And I don't know, possibly Matt's here too, but he's kind of shy about commenting sometimes, so I don't know for sure though. But welcome, all of you. I in my blue and my bling welcome you. So anyway, I woke up not feeling the greatest, and I was like, okay, I know what I've been doing. It's not the smartest thing. It's stuff that I talk to other people not doing. And I'm not living what I tell others is just smart, common sense stuff to practice. So that got me thinking about, okay, why is it I'm doing stuff that isn't respectful of my own ability to create things to the, to heights that I'm always reaching for, right? And then today I was listening to somebody, it was a brief thing that I heard, and I know that that's something I want to talk more on, but it was Nancy Levin, and I think she was the events director at Hay House for a while, but in any case, she was talking about boundaries, and boundaries are something I personally have struggled with for a long time, like forever it seems. But she was talking about boundaries, but she spoke of boundaries in a way that I hadn't thought of. She was talking about boundaries where it's like, it's not about everybody else necessarily. It's actually about you too, right? What is it that you are tolerating or not being true to, even though you say something, right, about yourself and about your actions. And so it's about being responsible for your own state of reality, as opposed to blaming others for what we see as the state of our reality. And it kind of blew my mind, because I'm like, it is so true. It is so true that, normally I think everybody, I am guilty of that. When I think of the word boundaries, it's kind of like, oh, it's about other people, what I'm allowing others to do, because I tend to lead with my heart a lot. So I tend to I think I've mentioned it before, even with projects and consulting, scope creep, always a reality, right? And I was like, okay, boundaries, I need to have better boundaries and all that. And today I got to thinking about boundaries for myself, by myself, and honoring my boundaries for myself. Why is it I'm feeling this way since yesterday? I know my body feels depleted. I know I haven't honored it. I know that I even, set up a time for myself that this is the time I'm going to hit bed. And even when I'm getting to bed, I'm doing stuff in bed, which is another no. Hello, another boundary out the window, violated, smashed. And I'm like, okay. So it just got my thoughts on boundaries as they apply to me, for me, as opposed to even right now. Like, if I don't start honoring the boundaries I set for myself, how can I expect anybody else to honor those that I set for anybody else, right? And that is still getting my wheels turning, because it kind of just, as I said, it kind of blew my mind, and I started going, okay. But then here is, this spring. Okay, it's kind of cold outside, I confess, but spring is still in there. It's April the 1st. We got it. Like, spring is on the way. That's the story I'm going with. And then with Easter, weekend being here, and Spring Equinox, I was just like, okay, all of these things, it doesn't matter what name you call it, but it's all about renewal, right? Renewed life and celebration of change. And combining that with what allows that renewal to come through, I'm like, okay, so what does that mean for me as the person behind the business? And really, that means entrepreneurs and the teams that are behind the business. What does that mean for us? How do we get to have that renewal, that burst of life just coming through, and the celebration of change that allows us to do more, right? Be more, and create more. And all of that, then kind of merging in with this thought of boundaries and self-care and all of that stuff has really got me thinking today. So I want to know from you guys, I cannot be the only one who struggles with this. So I want to know your thoughts, because yesterday, like, there was still a whole pile of stuff that needed to get done. So yesterday I couldn't take it easy. And today I still had a long list of things to do, but I was in a slower mode, right? And I made a call. My cousin has his birthday today, so I left him a message, because in the hurrying up, I realized there are people I haven't honored, I haven't recognized, I haven't celebrated with. And so I made the time to slow down and think about all the things that I need to be aware of in my world, which are in addition to the thing that I'm so passionate about, which is my work, right? So yeah, today, even though there was a whole pile of stuff that needed to be done, I moved slower. Part of it I can't take credit for, because literally my body was moving slower. But part of it was conscious, choosing not to deplete myself further, because that's what I do have a tendency to sometimes do. If something needs to be done, I am getting it done, right? So in that mode, I just push through no matter what. And then it's more depletion. And then it takes, a little while for my body to kind of catch up. So I didn't do that today. And I think that was because a few of these things were on my mind. So I'm going to pause for a moment and take a look to see what you guys are talking about, because that's one of my favorite things to do, just kind of catch up on what your thoughts are, because you guys are so cool. Okay, let's check it out. See, there's Vicky. Vicky, did you notice I wore our blue? And Larissa, thanks so much for being here. I know that you're in the middle of your community service, so I really appreciate the fact that you made time to be here. And Larissa says boundaries are so important. Yes, but boundaries are something I've always kind of struggled a little. Okay, not a little, but a lot with, because it's always, and that is something else I had to kind of explore as to why is it so important for me to not think about, like, why is it that I forget about myself when somebody else's need surfaces, right? And why is it I forget about the boundaries I put in just so I can actually show up better? Like, it kind of, it defies common sense. But anyway, and Vicky says, oh, thank you. See, Monday Blue. And Larissa says, your personal healthy boundaries need to be built and kept. So true. And you know, you would think it would be just so common sense that it would be easy to implement. But I know that so many of us struggle with that. Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's projects, sometimes it's whatever that we are taking on, right? And Vicky says, if you cannot honor the self, you cannot honor the other. Oh man, see, that hits hard. It's true. I know that. I know that. And yet, when I'm looking, a lot of the times when I'm looking at the things and, you know, all that I need to, I feel that I need to care for, and all the things that I've taken on for myself, I feel myself slipping on that totem pole. And that is so counterintuitive, right? And it's also something I truly consciously want to change regularly, because I know that the type of business I help others create and the type of business I'm committed to having within my world, they're not possible without me actually putting this as one of the biggest cornerstones so I can show up as my most creative, energized self. And yes, renewed life and change. Don't you just love this time of the year? And Robin says, yes, renewed life, fresh perspective. It just the thought of it energizes me. Do you feel that? Do you feel all that energy is just kind of lifting you up? See, even talking about it is making me feel better. And Robin says, though I have to be careful because the new, exciting, fresh is alluring, and I have to be sure to mind what's not completed or attended to. Oh, yes. It's that tortoise and the hare, or the ant, and you know, all those Aesop's fables that we grew, like at least I grew up listening to and hearing. Like, you know, there is a balance, and I never quite, you know, I got the ant's perspective, and at the same time I was just like, what was it, the ant and the grasshopper, I can't remember, but anyway, I got both ends, but I always thought, you know, you could kind of just bring it a little bit to the middle, so the ant could have a little bit more fun and the grasshopper could get a little bit more work done. And let's see, Vicky says, brilliant observation. In addition to the work you do. Yes, in addition, not solely, right? It's the stuff that I am so passionate about talking about that don't, you know, commit to the grind, don't glorify the grind. And yet the last couple of days, actually more than that, I was so into that really I was getting scarily close to the grind. And oh, true, important versus urgent, you choose. And the funny thing is, sometimes I get going so fast that I don't stop to make that distinction until I do, right? And that's when I'm kind of like, I don't want the sheer weight of everything that's on me to be what decides, right? Being part of a conscious business owner, an aware business owner, I really believe is the ability to stop by yourself before just the sheer number of things on your plate make you decide what gets dropped and what doesn't, because you do by default reach a point where you literally can't fit anything else, right? And then it's like, I can't take it. But when you make that distinction about what is important versus what is urgent, but not necessarily important, because sometimes it's both, right? But when you make that distinction, that's when you truly leverage your time. And that's where you hear people like Tim Ferriss, I love that man. Anyway, he's the one who's like, I'm actually not that busy because I've learned to say no to things. So he does things he truly wants to do. And I was just like, oh, that's so smart. Like, how cool is that? You would think that this man is always busy because look at all the stuff he packs into his life. And yet he has time, always time, to do the things he really wants to do. Why? Because he's made that distinction. What is important for me to do versus what just seems to be there to do, right? Busy work versus important work. So let's see. Let's see. Matt says boundaries are a challenge. You need to be set, but still be dynamic, so as not to hold one back. Yes, but I think you're so right. You're so right. Brittleness and rigidity are not conducive to you being effective, right? But I think we know innately what boundaries are there that will actually lift us and energize us versus hold us in this wall of, this box that we are, this is what we do, this is what we don't do, and that's that. No, I really believe that, well, I know when I'm doing something or saying no to, even though it seems so hard to do at the time, but I know what it liberates when I actually do that. And then I get to show up even better, even more powerfully. And Ricky says, yes, I do feel the energy. See, I knew it. It's just in the air. You're just, yeah. I love this time of the year. I love fall too, mind you, but I love this time of the year. And Vicky says, that's right, the middle road. I like the middle road just because it kind of tends to bring us to that balance. And there is something in me that is always pulled to that balance. When I feel that alignment, even within myself, when it feels right here in the core, when it just, okay, so this is something I heard Dr. Peng talk about a couple of years ago when I discovered, maybe a little bit more actually. I think I was helping somebody in the biohacking world and they were interviewing Dr. Peng, and I'm like, who is this man? And then I got to see some of his work, and he was talking about this alignment between the mind and the heart and what he calls the dantian, the area just under your belly button, right? Which is your power source. That's how he was describing it. And I'd always kind of thought about, even in the Eastern philosophies, and whether you're looking at it from a martial arts perspective or just from a Sufism perspective, or just so many Eastern philosophies refer to the mind, body, and spirit. And even in the West, we have this, thing that, okay, yeah, there is this alignment. And whenever I was thinking about that, it just seemed like this perfect, right? It's that triangle. It's the strongest structure. But when Dr. Peng talked about the mind, the heart, and Dansien, I was like, that makes perfect sense too. And he had this beautiful move where he was kind of aligning all of those. So when you think, when you speak, when you do something, all of that is coming from the alignment of your mind, your heart, and your strength, your stamina, your endurance, right? And it was just so, I fell in love with that concept. Oh, there is Ishan. I'm so happy to see you too, love. And yes, I love Tim Ferriss. He's so cool. Just dude's awesome. And Vicky says, busy work, not important work. Yep, I've had to kind of make that distinction a bit for myself, because sometimes there's so much on my plate and I'm just literally running around doing it like a chicken. And then I'm like, I'm not actually being that effective. And there's efficiency and effectiveness, and I kind of like it when they're married together, not one versus the other. So today, guys, I wanted to make sure that I didn't go over our allocated time, because last time I got onto this thing where I was talking and then the time just flew and I kept you guys here so long. So share with me what your thoughts are, what some of the things are that you do to respect yourself, to nourish yourself, to care for yourself, to love yourself, right? And what do you do? Think on the boundaries bit that I shared, right? About boundaries being not just for others and not just between you and others, but really for yourself as well, right? What are you honoring for yourself? What are you keeping to for yourself? Because I know that I'm going to look into more of what Nancy Levin shared, just because it intrigued me. And I'm going to leave you with a thought that she also was sharing, right? And it was about, she doesn't think of boundaries as restrictive. She was saying that boundaries are expansive. And when you're thinking about boundaries, especially when you're entrepreneurs, don't you just okay, I hate it. Not hate it, but I really am not a fan of this when it's like anything restrictive. It's like, get it away from me. I need to be free. I need to be like whatever, right? But there are certain things, structure, systems, and now in my mind, boundaries. They're not restrictive, they're expansive. Why? Because she said, carefully choosing and consciously curating the content of our life. That's what boundaries allow us to do. Don't you just savor the words? Like, it's just, as I was listening to it, I'm like, carefully choosing and consciously curating the content of our life. Oh, I know we're going to talk more about this on a subsequent show. I'm going to take a quick look to see who's shared and who's here, and then we're going to wrap it up. And I wish you an amazing, awesome, energized April time. But let's check it out. Oh, there's Radisha. So happy you're here. You guys light me up. And MJ says, lots of my decisions are self-care centered. Girl, you should teach me that, because I'm still working on that. And Vicky says, spiritual time every morning, my biggest self-care. I'm actually, you know what, Vicky? I'm actually pretty good with that. I used to be like, I would hit the floor. It seemed like I hit the floor running in the morning. And I don't. For a long while now, I don't. I actually wake up, and I wake up with a smile on my face. I'm already feeling so grateful that I got this another day to just create something amazing, to do something that makes me being here on this earth just so freaking worthwhile, right? And I take that time for reflection and meditation. I don't start my day without it anymore, just because I need it. Like, if I don't do it, I know that it's not the same at all. So yeah. And Rajesh says, taking down the walls. Yep, taking down the walls indeed. And some of those walls are not, I think it's an extra level of getting energized, right? And Robin says, that was so beautiful. Look forward to that next discussion. Yes, it was just those words. It was almost like they were delicious, just even to kind of think about. And Robin says, COVID helped me make the biggest difference in my own self-care, sleeping, personal time, spiritual time, got a chance to reassess. I know that it's been such a challenging time for a lot of people, but for me, and I hope it doesn't offend anybody, because I'm not slighting it, but for me, it was almost a blessing, because whenever we are given something, it was almost like a reset for the world, giving us a chance to slow down, to look at things a little bit differently, to do things like we haven't done before. How often do we get a chance to actually just stop, right? And that's what it felt like to me. And Radisha says, wonderful, yes, this is how it should be. And Matthew says, doing breathing exercises and meditation just before sleep with my son is helping quite a bit. And I know, Matt, that you're doing Dr. Peng's program. It's called I Ching Jing, and he told me about it when I was getting to discover, more of his work. And he said, if you want to feel better, if you want to just change your health and your life, come and be part of this program. And he invited me to it, and I was just like, what is that? So things that you explore, sometimes it's so cool. And Radisha says, totally agree, it is centering. And love, your work is, about centering, right? Just the presence and the grounding, and just the clarity that you bring to the people that you help. I know that you're definitely a pro at this. Guys, I wish you an amazing long weekend. I wish you a great evening, an awesome day, because I know some of you are tuning in from Australia and it's daytime, morning there. So, but thank you for joining me here. I didn't think I had, the pep and the zest in me to kind of go on today the way it ended up being, but it's you guys. You bring this energy to me, and the topic itself was just like so thought-provoking. So thank you again. Loved having you guys here, and happy Easter.